All right, here we go. With us as always, he is the producer of this series. He is the CEO at the Black Chamber of Arizona. Let's hear it for Robin Reed. Robin Reed is back with us. You saw her on the screen. We should mention Monica Villalobos, not able to join us today, but was part of the segment planning, as we are so thrilled to have back on the stage with us from the Valley of the Sun United Way, President and CEO Carla Vargas Jaesa is with us, everyone. And new Chief Community Development and Engagement Officer, Emma Garcia. Emma Garcia, everyone. All right, Carla, here we go. A lot of momentum, a lot of progress around your team's Mighty Change Initiative. Many of the audience members know what the Mighty Change Initiative is. As a reminder, here are the pillars that you guys are focused on. Health, housing and homelessness, education, and workforce development. So we're not going to go over the entire scorecard in detail here, but we do want to get into some specifics. So overall, Carla, for this audience here in studio and watching online, what are some of the biggest takeaways you saw when you guys were putting in your team is here when you were putting the scorecard together?
Yeah, well, thanks, Eric. So happy to be here with this amazing studio audience and also with Emma, with her having joined our team. And, when we were here last year, we were actually just establishing the baselines for the MC 2026 goals that you saw on the screen earlier. And certainly, no surprise, the numbers moved in the wrong direction due to the impacts of COVID. And so this year, as we published our second annual scorecard, the great news is we've seen some progress in some areas. Things are turning around. And in some areas, we still need to do some work. And so, as an example, some areas where we've seen some tremendous progress include in higher paying jobs in this community. So that is very exciting. Our local companies have created some higher paying jobs and also are raising their wages in order to get the best employees. And so that's very exciting. Some of the implications there, though, are that we need to make sure that our youth are prepared for those jobs. So we're hiring people locally and preparing our youth for the best opportunities for success. Another example in the area of health, certainly, we saw some great progress, believe it or not, and a significant reduction in food insecurity from 13% to 9%. And so that is really exciting. We do know, though, that in large part that could be because of the fact that so many people were so focused on making sure people had access to food through the pandemic, through new delivery systems, and we want to make sure that doesn't fall through a cliff. Another key area that's important related to youth age 16 to 24 who may have been disconnected from employment or education. We're seeing an increase in their connection to employment and education. And again, implications for and opportunities for workforce development to make sure that we're having businesses connected to local schools and that youth are also being connected not only to industry but to post-secondary education that's relevant.
So overall, very exciting news as we turn the scorecard this year as opposed to last year, just because of what we were doing coming out of the pandemic. I do want to put a couple of stats on the screen. Emma, I want to get your feedback on this. Here's some of the numbers. We've seen you guys, $9.3 million invested in the community with more than 100 nonprofit partners, $80 million going to support families with affordable quality childcare. That's impacting over 10,000 kids across our state. You guys supported the distribution of $350,000 worth of equipment and supplies to more than 100 nonprofit and school partners. So Emma, as we look at big numbers like that and we go, oh, wow, that's incredible. But we want to put those into context. You recently joined the team at Valley of the Sun United Way. No stranger, though, to a lot of people in this room. You spent more than 20 years with Desert Financial. So help us understand what those numbers mean for us, both big picture and then through the business lens.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, what was so exciting for me coming to this role. I see the scale, the magnitude, right? The boldness in setting these goals. And these are significant strategies, right, that are going to improve the wellness of our community. And so just to share a little bit more, we have impacted at least 10,000 children through our quality early childhood education scholarships through First Things First. So another significant
that was the numbers that really stood out, 10,000 kids. Yeah.
So 10,000 kids. And so when we start to think about it from a business perspective, right, it's significant scale that's making a difference in our community. I know in my former role, just being able to see firsthand the challenges that businesses face as they're looking at, childcare solutions for their workforce. Carla mentioned earlier, just the numbers in terms of the impact in terms of education, right? And so being able to serve 6,500 children through our literacy efforts, that starts to really move the needle. I think that's what's just so impressive about this opportunity and this work. And at the same time, being able to create that longer term change that is going to help us all succeed, right? Businesses succeed when our communities succeed and vice versa. And so I think that's what's so exciting about this work.
Yeah, I think that's what those numbers are telling us. And Robin, so many people in this room are passionate about workforce development. It affects so many people in this room. And you heard Carla just talking about workforce development. So walk us through why some of what we are just talking about as far as education and wins in the community help us, and why those connections are so critical when it comes to workforce development.
Well, first I want to commend Valley of the Sun United Way for really recognizing that true workforce development, we've got to start preparing our young people today for the jobs of tomorrow. We've all heard that, gosh, what was it? Just a year ago, we were saying kids entering the first grade were going to have jobs that didn't exist. Mm-hmm. I think that we have moved so quickly since then that it's kids in middle school today. They're going to have jobs that don't exist. So how do we prepare them? You and I were having a great conversation in the green room that when we were young, we were learning work skills because we had a paper route or we mowed lawns. So we learned accountability, responsibility, customer service, sales. Mm-hmm. We learned all the skills that you can use in the workplace. Kids today don't have those same opportunities. It's not as safe a world to let kids go out and do those things. So we need our corporations to actually get more engaged with young people at the middle school level, mm-hmm. not waiting till the second year of college, but at middle school. Other countries are doing this incredibly successfully, where workforce and education have partnered. I know that's what Dr. Chad Getson, former superintendent of Phoenix Union High School District, is doing with his new institute, is he's trying to marry corporations and education to create exactly what we're looking for.
Carla, one of the areas of this report, no surprise to anyone in this room, where we do have a lot of work to do, is housing and homelessness. We have a whole series dedicated to that, but there are some positives that you're seeing come out of the report regarding funding and collaboration, right? That'll get people excited.
Yeah, so in the area of housing and homelessness, no surprise, there was a huge impact through COVID and an increase in those experiencing homelessness just by the point in time count, which we know is an undercount, mm-hmm. from 6,000 to 9,000. Earlier this year, that went up to about 9,300, and there is obviously a lot of attention around this issue. The positive is that we have so many phenomenal service providers who've really come together and are coming together and have come together just in recent days and helping to support housing people who are in the encampments around the Human Services Campus. I know you hear about that a lot from Amy and Jackson. And we're really excited that even though the numbers are moving in the wrong direction, the momentum is moving in the right direction around this issue. And there's a lot of attention from the private funding community to really want to come together to create community solutions. MAG, the Maricopa Association of Governments, the Arizona Community Foundation, and research institutions to come together in partnership with the phenomenal service providers to not only replicate successful models that are being undertaken in Phoenix right now, but to really have a countywide perspective to get to functional zero and not just to reduce homelessness by 50%.
We're going to be talking about functional zero later in the show, but just to kind of take away, as you mentioned, the numbers are going down, but the momentum is going up.
Absolutely.
That's great. Emma, what are your priorities as you enter this new role? I think we're all excited for you, but talk about what your priorities are.
Yeah, definitely. It's being able to be more strategic, right? We have great data, we have great partners, we've got the resources around the table, and it's about identifying, how could we maximize our impact by being more targeted in our efforts, whether it's at a neighborhood level or potentially a population. I know when we were here at your first taping, you mentioned that for every one individual experiencing homelessness, there's two, or that we are able to assist, there's two more individuals who enter the issue. And so, really trying to be intentional about being more preventative and looking at intervention measures and going upstream, and looking at that intersection of those issues, right? Children who are experiencing homelessness are likely not going to stay on track with their school goals and are likely going to have health impacts, right? So really trying to hone in on where could we maximize our impact in that way.
Robin, we've been talking about, the Mighty Change Scorecard here. You sit on the board of the United Way. We talk about it on this show so much. What happens when you weave DEI into your organization's DNA, but how about all of what we're talking about right now and getting involved in the community? How about what kind of impact does that have when you work that into the organization's DNA? And I know there's a lot of leaders here.
Well, I think, number one, what Valley of the Sun United Way did that I have always been so proud to be a part of is they understood that data in and of itself is just information, much like knowledge, right? Knowledge isn't power if you don't take action. Data is just information if you don't do anything with it. Valley of the Sun United Way did two things. One, they made the data actionable, but two, they lived it themselves. Again, if you recall, when we were first talking about Mighty Change, it was, we're going to do this internally. We're not just going to represent it externally. I think what that has done is it has shown people that much as Carla shared, the numbers weren't always what we wanted, but we reported them so that we could take action on them. That's really what it's like everywhere. Yeah. No one has got this figured out perfectly. We're looking for progress, not perfection. So I think that what we're doing and what everyone should do is follow the lead of Valley of the Sun and say, let's go do something. We're seeing that in other communities. I think you and I were, again, talking about GPEC and how they just took something they learned from this show and they took action with it, and it helped their organization. I really encourage everyone to do exactly that. Find something from this episode, from one of the other episodes. Find that little thing, and if you can take an action, it is literally ripples in the ocean that cause waves, and that's what we should all be doing.
Robin, you know segues by now. You're onto it. So perfect segue. Carla, room full of social change makers here, many with direct ties to the work you do, board members, funders, grant recipients. So what's the call to action?
Yeah, many, obviously, as usual. And so calls to action can include, join us in coalitions to help to reach the goals that we've established. Yeah. We've established coalitions, action teams. For the corporate leaders, we've established CEO advisory circles in order to be able to have that feedback loop to make sure that we as United Way are meeting the corporate social responsibility objectives of our local corporate leaders, as well as responding to the CSR advisory professionals who are out there. And so also I would say, talk to us. If there's something that you see that we should be doing that we're not, we want to hear that. I mean, United Way belongs to the community. I absolutely, firmly, and strongly believe that. I want to make sure that we're always responding. And so thank you for continuing to have us and for our partnership and sharing the work and the opportunities.
And the scorecards will be available online, right?
It'll be available on our website, yes.
Awesome.